its third year, the Innovative Showroom Awards celebrate existing showrooms in the kitchen and bath space that are doing a great job of engagement, creating an unforgettable experience, and educating their customers. Sponsored by Lixil Brands, American Standard DXV, and Groa, the ceremony to award the best of the best is coming up at 4 p.m., so please stay. But before we do that, we have brought together a panel of industry-leading experts to discuss the importance of showrooms in the kitchen and bath industry. And who better to lead this panel than the National Showroom Director of Lixil Americas, Michael Donaghy. Michael is responsible for the American Standard, DXV, and Groa brands in the showroom channel. Michael has more than 30 years of experience in the plumbing industry, with 20 years working in the Groa organization in various sales positions. I think Michael knows a thing or two about showrooms. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Michael Donaghy and the rest of the Innovative Showroom panel.
Well, thank you, Leanne. And thank you, first of all, before we start and introduce everyone, how about a round of applause for the KBIS team here today? They put on a great fair for everyone here, and it's wonderful. And welcome everyone, as Leanne mentioned, to the Innovative Awards panel discussion. I'll be the moderator. And then please stay afterwards, because after there's the Innovative Showroom Awards presentation. So it should be a really fun time and a good time. As Leanne mentioned, I'm Michael Donaghy. I'm the Director of Showrooms for Lixil Water Technology, which incorporates Groe, DXV, and American Standard. And we're thrilled to once again be a sponsor for this event. You know, when you get into the showroom world, there's two really important things that are factors that we really need. One is knowledgeable, professional showroom people to help guide the consumer through the educational process, an innovative process on products and innovation. The second is a really good buying environment. So this is a place that's professionally staffed and brings the newest and greatest displays out into the marketplace and is an inspiration for not only consumers, but architects and designers. So thank you very much for attending, and I'll get into introducing our group here now. And thanks everyone for taking time out of your schedule and joining us today. So first off, Chairman of JGA, Ken Nish. We could all clap for Ken. CKD and owner of Simmer & Soak and last year's Innovative Showroom Awards overall and independent small winner, Jenny Mosley. Executive Editor of Kitchen and Bath Business, Chelsea Butler. Director of Showrooms at Ferguson Enterprises, Kate Bailey. And last but not least, President of Clark Distribution, Sean Clark. So thank you guys for joining us. We're going to have some questions for the panel, and then we'll open it up later to some open-ended questions for the audience as well. So feel free to jump in at the end. So I'll start with question number one, and this will go to you, Chelsea, to start. What are the biggest factors driving the need for innovation in the showroom environment today?
Well, I think we all know that consumers today really just want to go online. That's the most convenient way for them to shop. So I think it would be in the showroom director's best interest to actually have something that brings people into the showroom, be that, you know, new technology, working displays, that kind of thing, you know, events, just to give consumers a reason to actually come into the showroom.
Great, thanks. Sean, how about you?
Well, obviously I agree, and we operate a showroom without a cash register in New England. So it's a Sub-Zero Wolf appliance showroom. So we're sort of competing against a retail appliance dealer for the time of the consumer, or a big box store, or whatever it may be. So we have nothing to do but be extremely innovative so that there's a reason for the consumer to come. And then a big driver, maybe a small example, but a big driver of innovation for us was to make ourselves available at night to the consumer when they're looking online, as you said, whether they're on Houzz or doing research, to be able to make an appointment to come to our showroom online. As simple as that sounds, we didn't have that. But understanding that consumers were in bed at 10 o'clock with their significant other, and that's when they're flipping through magazines and looking online, we had to be there for them. So it's that kind of thing.
So you open certain hours on certain nights during the week, or is it continuous.
Yeah, and we've adjusted our hours as well.
Are there any particular nights you target that seem to be more popular than others?
Thursday nights.
Thursday nights,
typically,
sure.
Yeah.
Great. Kate, how about you?
Yeah, I agree with both Sean and Chelsea. And, to the appointment conversation, that's actually something we're working on behind the scenes, getting ready to be capable to allow all 270 of our showrooms to be able to make an appointment online. And I think that convenience is something we're listening to our customers and responding accordingly. And to Chelsea's point, it's exactly that. It's being something different than what they could do at their home. We always talk to our showroom managers and showroom associates. They didn't drive an hour to come see you to be directed to the internet or to be handed some literature. So really creating a different environment where they can touch and feel the product, working when we're able to, I think can be very special. But innovation also comes in experience, and it's not quite as sexy as some of the fun displays, but innovation in customer service and innovation in consultation and bringing that expertise to try to take that overwhelming feeling away from when you're trying to do it on your own. And I think that that's what so many of our showrooms are able to do for our consumers.
Great, thank you. We'll move on to our second question. Ken, we'll start with you on this one. Can you give an example of the psychology behind innovative displays or product merchandising?
I think we've heard a lot about how the shopping journey starts with the internet. And I think many cases the dream, Pinterest, all the kind of things that we think about. In the Innovative Showroom really finds a way to be an extension of that digital journey, not necessarily just a safety net to catch things that don't work or don't happen. And I think in the past, the technology was kind of a safety net. In many cases now it's where the conversation starts, and how do you pick up that conversation without having to teach somebody a new language with a different set of tools and a different set of images. It's still a big opportunity, I think, for showrooms to do that.
Yeah. Chelsea, how about you?
I mean, despite the fact that a lot of consumers do want to shop online, I think they also really want to touch products. They want to see how things work. So, the more that you can offer that kind of a draw to your showroom, I think there's still a major desire for people to touch and feel and use something.
Great. Sean?
I agree to, to build on that. I think an innovative showroom, and certainly our goal in our showrooms, is to beat the internet, to be better than the internet, and to do things that you can't do on the internet. And one of the driving things in our organization was actually a book that Robin Lewis wrote called The New Rules of Retail. And because you asked about the psychology behind it, it talks about neurological connectivity, making a neurological connection with everybody that comes into your showroom, whether it's being able to touch water and see a faucet working. In our case, baking bread, the smell of bread, and how it reminds you of your grandmother's kitchen, and tasting food, all things that you can't do on the internet. To us, that's really important stuff.
For the audience's sake, can you name that book again, just so everyone can hear it?
It's Robin Lewis and Dart, The New Rules of Retail. So really, for us, it was a really transformative book.
Great.
What's interesting about that too is you think about innovation is really dealing with the most primal and basic needs we have to experience things. So
it's kind of ironic.
It's kind of almost like a full circle all the way around.
Yeah.
That's great. Good answer. So what's something in your store that you would not have had or even seen or thought of 10 years ago? I mean, how's this evolved as far as showrooms go? And Chelsea, we'll start with you.
Okay, obviously I don't own my own showroom, but...
not even you own a magazine.
I mean, definitely working displays, the idea that someone could actually come into a showroom and try out a tub after hours, that's definitely something we haven't seen. A coffee bar, I think areas where you can host educational events, I don't think that was something that has been around for a long time. And then as far as one of the submissions that we had, I don't know if you've seen this before, but they did a really great job of putting a lot of product, organizing it into a really tight space. That's really hard to do, and that in itself is highly innovative.
Great. Sean, how about you guys?
Things in our showroom that we wouldn't have imagined 10 years ago.
10 years ago, like what's in there now that you wouldn't even have thought of, or even, you know, that's not even on your landscape 10 years ago?
Two things for us is in the center of our new showroom is a 16-foot long by 9-foot tall digital wall where clients can project, you know, in life scale the elevations for their kitchen design and move it around and really interact with it. And
So
then
in life scale?
yeah.
Wow.
And then in the live kitchen, there's fixed cameras that can stream live on the website. So if there's something exciting going on in one of our live kitchens, we can stream that online. So in a million years, we never would have thought about doing that.
Right. Good stuff. Jenny, how about you?
I mean, I think one thing that we do, we have a live kitchen where we have cooking classes, and I never would have imagined that would be something that we would do for a kitchen and bath showroom. But for us, it's been one of the greatest factors to drive people in because it's an unintimidating environment and they can do it as a date with their husband. And while they're enjoying the cooking class, they kind of look around and see other things. And it's like you start the conversation of redoing a kitchen that maybe she wouldn't have been able to have her husband have. So it's really been helpful with that.
Great. Well, you guys have already touched a little bit on the internet, and you know, we live in a world of sometimes overeducated consumers now with the likes of home design shows and makeover shows, manufacturers like Lixil's website, online catalogs as well as Housing Pinterest. So is this a help for you guys, or is it a hindrance that these consumers are so educated, and how does that affect the showroom sales rep and the customer relationship? So it's a little bit of delicate, you know, subject. So, but Chelsea, we'll start with you.
I guess I'll take a different stance on this and actually say that I think it's definitely a help. I think it can take a lot of legwork out of the whole process and having your clients be able to definitely let you know what they like and they don't like. But I think as long as they use the designer's skills to actually, you know, come up with a successful project. But yeah, I think the social media, all that kind of thing is helpful. You know, I just think it saves time and legwork.
So it's a time saver.
Yeah, I think so.
Sean, same to you?
Yeah, for sure, because people can show you ideas, customers can show you ideas with unprecedented speed and accuracy, saying this is what I want. But my feeling on this, I was thinking about this question is, you know, if you look around, as if you're a designer, design is everywhere now. I mean, you go into Target and there's, you know, you can look at 10 different lamps with unbelievable design at Target, you know, so I personally think the importance of a designer for a consumer today, it's more important than ever to have a designer, because it's so much harder to get a unique finished product or an authentic finished product because design is everywhere. So you really need a professional designer more so than ever now. And I think that's a good thing for the design community.
Absolutely. So, Kate, for you, is the educated consumer a help or a hindrance?
It's both.
Both.
Am I allowed to answer like that?
You can answer that way. Yeah, sure.
No, I think we all know the challenge of the educated consumer or the self-educated consumer. I think sometimes it creates unrealistic expectations of, you can redo your whole kitchen for $1,500 over a weekend, and just some of those challenges I think we all face. But when we can get beyond that and educate them, and I think the vast impact is a help. Number one, an educated consumer keeps us on our toes. It requires our sales force to be better and smarter and knowledgeable, so that we can deliver that next level expertise. And to Sean's point, I think it also helps us really understand their vision. You know, a consumer can say, I'm modern, and then show you this really traditional kitchen that they love.
Right.
And so those visual elements they can bring give you a real taste of what they really mean, what they're trying to articulate. So we embrace it. I mean, I really think it helps us ultimately get to the right decision for that consumer. But yeah, there's a couple bumps along the way sometimes.
So is it a time saver for you, or is it a hindrance, or is it kind of depends?
I hate to be wishy-washy, but it depends on the client.
Yeah.
I think for many of them, it's a time saver. They do so much legwork and come in with ideas, and we can take it from there to the next level of pinpointing decisions. However, sometimes they're so overwhelmed by, you know, the Pinterest board and nothing matches. So where do you start? But hopefully, you know, our goal is to have the expertise to hone them in and to really guide them. And I think they're looking to professionals, whether it's a product expert or a designer, to validate some of their decisions and their likes and dislikes. They want you to instill that confidence in them that, oh, that's gorgeous and I've got the exact right thing for your project. So we really try to work with it as a positive.
Great, thanks. So Ken, here we are talking about innovation and technologies. And so what are some of the new technologies and sales tools that you've seen emerge in the showroom environment?
You know, I think the idea is where, and traditionally somebody who's an architect like myself or an interior designer are the people we start with in staffing showrooms. And I think Showroom of the Future may draw people who, of course, have a design sensibility, but the innovation may come out of recruiting from the Four Seasons hotels, or it might come out of other type of environments, because I think a lot of times people are looking for empathy and therapy as much as they're looking for design, because there's so many design tools that help facilitate design that lots of times they need as much help in the process as they do the answer. Sometimes they need the question. So I think innovation may be where do we find the right people to be in environments. I think one of the things that's changing quickly is this micro manufacturing. We're seeing this in jewelry, we're seeing it in other type of home furnishing areas where, in effect, you may be 3D printing the hardware in your stores on a customized basis. So I think the idea that the showroom could be a workshop, or at least help people facilitate sort of personalizing and expressing, not just selecting. I'm seeing this in other categories, and it's happening really fast. And frankly, it's a great defense against the internet for the showroom environment, because people will be licensing software maybe rather than distributing hard goods or product in the future, working with the showroom environment. So it could become a more creative place.
Yeah, you're looking at it as a workshop and not just a selection store, if you will. So that's pretty good technology and concept. Jenny, how about you? Anything you've seen technology-wise in the sales tool side?
Well, I think, I hate to keep going back to the internet, but even just Pinterest, like you might have a client, like Kate, you touched on this a little bit, that says, I'm very contemporary and this is what I want. And even if they don't give you your Pinterest or their Facebook, I mean, you can pretty much figure out that client maybe even before your first meeting. So you can come in and, you know, people are short on time, they don't have a lot of time. You could have a full presentation before you even met with the person because you have a sense of who they are from their social media. And that's really helpful because it gives you an edge, and they might be meeting with other people or something and they're like, wow, you did your homework and this is what you have. It's helpful.
So that's a great lead-in for the next question. And Kate, you can start, tee this one up first. And it's, how do you harness the whole social media piece of the customer selection process and the entire digital ecosystem to benefit your business?
Yeah, that's a great question, and we had fun kind of tossing this one around. We feel an obligation, and I think it's smart for any business to be where your customers are. And our customers are in the social space, and so, you know, we choose to participate. It is challenging to pick, you know, which platform, when, how often, all of that good stuff. But we really try to temper it and be active. And what I've learned, and this was a learning for me, is in the social space, one of the best things you can do is listen. It's not just for us to get our messages across. It's a great way for us to watch and listen to what our customers are saying, what they want, what they see as trends, what our vendors are doing, what our competitors are doing, and so on and so forth. And so it's been really an education for us as much as a platform. But in terms of participation, we see it as a way to get across information. It's not so much promotional as it is, you know, tips and tricks, what's going on in the industry, maybe a new product or a featured home or something of that extent. So we really enjoy participating in the social space, and we've actually done a little bit of, call it experimentation recently. We partnered with a blogger who had millions of followers, and he did a takeover on our Instagram feed. And so we were able to channel a little bit of a different avenue, touch potential customers that maybe we wouldn't in the past through our traditional advertising and PR means. And so we're trying it as kind of a fun, playful way to teach more people about who we are.
That's great. And Jenny, you've been talking a little bit about social media. How do you really harness that and use that as a tool?
Well, so for us, social media is huge, and we're really diligent about posting on, as many different outlets that we can. And I know when we first started, we were so careful, and they're like, is this a good picture? And we thought about it, and we really took our time with it. And we found that the more you post, and no matter what it is, people it's gonna get people talking. And funny thing is, probably we get more likes when we post a picture of a job site that's under construction. And we're like, wait, what about the pretty picture? Why don't they like that? But I think showing like, oh, they're really doing stuff. And like if we have 3 jobs that we're starting, we might show 3 job site pictures. That may not be the most exciting picture, but it shows that you're active. And so I've really learned that we really have to think about anything that you can do just to get your name out there. And they just repeatedly see your name and that you're busy. And we have a lot of people that come in and be like, oh, well, I saw you on Facebook, or I saw you on Instagram. There's some picture of a tub that we took out, and it took 8 guys to take it out. And they thought it was funny, but it took them to our page. Right.
I think those before and after photos that you can put on social media are really powerful. It's fun for the consumer to look at, and it shows that you're really digging into the work. So we're running out of a few questions here, but before we leave, I want to ask Ken, what's the future?
I think there's a lot of really interesting macro trends. I think one of the things that's going to happen is it's happened in automobiles, in design and couture, it's happening in jewelry, is I think fractional ownerships of kitchens. So I think there's going to be a subscription plan that people will pay $10,000 a year. They're guaranteed continuous updates on their kitchen. They'll be designed to be modular, so product can be taken back and resurfaced. They're going to get new appliances, things that maybe help their goal towards healthy eating or entertaining. And why should the environment not be one of these areas? Furniture is going that way, but basically big ticket purchases, people don't want to be locked into owning one thing. And one of the reasons that is a phenomenon called the orange dress, which is the selfie that somebody takes and then they can't wear that dress again because everybody's seen them in the orange dress. So once I created all this social media in my kitchen showing everybody my new wonderful kitchen, I want to be able to do it next year, and I want to do it at Christmas, and I want to change it. So I think this idea of basically fractional ownership will be something that the dealer environment really can tie into. Think of lighting fixtures, all these kind of things that are house jewelry, so to speak. I think another macro trend is, at any given time, 50% adults are divorced. And so this idea of a husband and wife and a play corner for their kids coming and buying a kitchen is just really not the lifestyle we live in. So the idea of who is this customer and how they invest and what's important to them. Farm to table, I think how we eat. I think a root cellar will be the next big thing in kitchens, because people want to go back to heritage vegetables and fruits. Why do they not want to go back to heritage approach to product? And at the same time, they're going to have a meal in a box delivered to them that has everything already prepared. So I think the big macro trend is these crazy dualities of super easy and I don't have to do everything, or I want to grow something in my backyard or have it delivered from the farmer by a cart. So these dichotomy, and I think this idea of planned obsolescence in kitchens with the idea of fractional ownership. I think it's going to really change the whole process of how people invest in their homes.
Great. So I'll open this question up to the board. One of the virtues of a truly great company is the customer service that supports them. So do you have anything that you've seen as far as innovation-wise that your customer service departments are utilizing to make sure that consumer is happy with their purchase and the whole buying experience? Is anyone using anything in customer service at all? It's kind of an open question.
I visited a showroom. Can you hear me?
Jeannie? Yeah, okay.
I visited a showroom recently. I'm not going to name any names. But something that struck me as really good customer service was the way they had it laid out. Is they had product displays, they had vignettes, they had all these things, but they also made sure that they had enough designers on staff to be able to meet with any number of clients anytime anybody came in. So you know, they can be left alone if they just want to walk around the store by themselves, but there's definitely enough people on the floor, and this was a small showroom. There were enough people on the floor to be able to help people out in finding what they were looking for. I think that's good customer service.
Kate?
To build off of what Chelsea said, you know, customer service, I think we're always striving to get better and improve all of our businesses. And, you know, it's the simple things that make such a big difference. And so you hit the nail on the head. I mean, customers come to your showroom, they want to be helped, and that's something we're all challenged to balance staffing levels. And so what we're doing is trying to segregate the workload so that, you know, the back end work, the non-customer facing work is done, you know, behind the scenes by a different group than the folks that are available to help on the floor. Because, you know, any of us who have sold in a showroom environment, every meeting causes hours of work behind the scenes. And so certainly, you know, when customers are walking around, we want everyone who's there to be available to help them. So just kind of divvying up the workload differently than we have in the past has made a big difference in order to allow more customer-facing associates in the showrooms.
So what about displays in the showroom? I mean, you mentioned something as far as having a virtual screen that is life-size. I mean, that's pretty cool stuff. You don't see that everywhere. Typically, the brick and mortar showrooms have gone with, you know, your traditional vignettes and displays. Have you seen innovation in display technology anywhere in your showrooms at all?
I'll take this one.
Anyone? It's open question to the panel.
You know, I think one of the tools, lighting, has so changed the design of our living spaces. And I've seen a showroom, it was actually in Italy, which allows the whole showroom to be day parted. So
Wow.
if you want to see what it's like, what your environment can look like for breakfast, or what it can look like if you're entertaining, and even to the point that they've actually changed the color temperature of the lighting, because sunlight gets warmer and cooler as it happens during the day. And so they've actually built all the lighting into all the showroom to help you understand how that can be done as a buyer, but also how it can be experienced as a consumer, which I think is pretty innovative.
That is pretty neat. So, all right, thanks. Oh, you want to say?
Yeah, just quickly, you know, in terms of the future and things that we're looking at, innovation, you know, typically, at least today, usually denotes technology. And in all technologies that we all use in our everyday lives, you know, there's a cost associated with it. And over time, it becomes less and less. And I really think in our industry, we're on the verge of some really cool things. I mean, virtual reality, augmented reality, all of those things were kind of cost prohibitive in the past in terms of introducing them into our showrooms and getting a return, or at least breaking even on the wow factor. But I think we're, you know, a year or two away from things like virtual vignettes and a lot of those really neat things that will elevate the customer's experience and allow us all to differentiate ourselves. So I hope this time in 2 or 3 years we'll be talking about all of the cool things we've just introduced. But we're always looking at that and kind of have to figure out when the timing is right in terms of the cost versus the benefit.
Right.
I was at CES, and one of the big providers provided air sickness bags for the demonstration, which suggests we have a little ways to go.
That's great. Well, as promised at the beginning when we teed this up, I said that we'd open it up to the audience that has any questions for the panel up here as far as showrooms go or innovations go. So any questions from anyone in the audience? We're going to stay here till 3 questions are asked.
Oh boy.
No? All right. Well, thank you everyone for attending. I'd like to thank our expert panelists for joining us today and taking time out of their schedules to give us some helpful insights on innovations and technologies being employed in successful kitchen and bath showrooms. So please join me in a round of applause for the panelists. They did a great job. Now, I'd like everyone to remain seated because coming up next is what the big part of this show is. Not that you guys weren't that big, but the Innovative Showroom Awards ceremony. So we're going to take a short break, so stay seated, and we'll get ready for the award ceremony. So thank you. Thank you.